Well, we're back again. This is season 2 of A Community Outdoors. Last season we showed you how to make a multitude of different shelters. This time we want to show you how you can take your setup to prolong your survival. You're going to have a multitude of different angles on this subject as we got 7 different people geographically separated. So you will have a lot of content and a lot of good survival skills happening, as well as the how to do them. Alright, so when we look at survival, we got to break it down into different categories. One of the very important ones is the psychological aspect. There are a lot of things that you can do when you're out in the woods to make your time a lot more comfortable, hence a lot more enjoyable and psychologically stable. Simple things such as a bed, as you can see here, are very, very good for keeping you comfortable. A good night's sleep can make all the difference. And something that takes a little bit of time can pay off in big dividends psychologically. There's a multitude of different ways that you can make beds. The one shown here is the way that I typically go. However, you could use something as simple as just a bed of spruce boughs if you want it. With beds, there also comes other things like chairs. Chairs can be a huge lifesaver on your back. To sit comfortably around a warm fire can make a big difference with you in your head when you're wondering how long you can possibly stand this situation. It is an excellent way to go about it, and again, like most things in bushcraft, there is a plethora of different ways to make a chair. You can check out this video up top here. It'll show you how I typically make mine. Tables can be very useful when you're talking about having amenities while you're out in the woods. And since you already have yourself a shelter set up and you're staying there for a prolonged period of time, I suggest making a table. You can make big elaborate tables like the one you can see up here. If you want to check out the full video, click on the link. Or you can go with something not so elaborate. Either way, no matter how you choose to do it, it's always a good idea to get your gear up off the ground and keep it dry. So you're probably thinking, all of these items here are based strictly on comfort. That's not going to get me through in a survival situation if I'm out there for a prolonged period of time. I disagree, but that's because I believe the psychological portion of it is key. However, there are plenty of things that you can craft while you're out there that will directly help your survival needs. Containers is a big one that can be used to do anything from boil water. Again, water is key, crucial when you're talking about prolonged survival. Containers can boil you water. They can be used to cook with. There is a multitude of different ways to create different types of containers that do everything from cooking and boiling to holding items for you to keep yourselves a little bit more organized. You can see here's a typical birch bark container. These are very useful when you're talking about storing different gear, equipment, tinders, or other needs. You can also do stuff like a log bowl. These sort of things are used to cook with. They can also boil water. And what's best of all is they don't have to come in direct contact with the fire if you use hot rocks. Another type of container you can make is a simple one just strictly out of bark. This type of container, so long as it is filled with a liquid, will not burn when you set it in the fire. Elevate it up off the coals so it's not directly touching them. Use a couple logs, much like you would a grill. Elevate it up off the ground or off the coals, and you will see how quickly you can cook with that container. These items are crucial when you talk about getting by in a bushcraft situation. Everybody needs water. Everybody needs to cook what they catch. Another simple craze that is going on in the bushcraft community right now are the kooks of cups, like you can see pictured here. This is the one that I chose to make. Again, there are 1,000 different styles. You can also carve spoons. Again, that's something that's great when you're talking about prolonged survival. Having implements that work for you and make your life easier is what it's all about. If you have these sort of things, it's going to put you in the right psychological mindset to stay out there for as long as possible. Not all survival situations are resolved in 72 hours. This is why things such as a sawhorse are so important. Anything that can make it easier on your body will keep you in the game a little bit longer. Let's be honest, bushcraft has evolved from the traditional sense of the word. And to be fair, early settlers who were among the first to practice bushcraft in North America also brought with them muskets. It's not uncommon for bug-out bags and the like to have kept with them a survival rifle. This is why I chose to have firearms included in my prolonged survival video. Among my favorites are the Henry US Survival Rifle 22 LR semi-automatic that collapses into the buttstock to easily fit in your pack. Not to be outdone, the Chiappa M6 12 gauge over 22 LR is also a fantastic survival rifle. Food procurement with these implements can be a game changer, but make no mistake, hunting, even with a rifle, is never a guaranteed thing. As a disclaimer, all animals harvested in the upcoming clips were utilized in survival camps, and all survival camps took place on private land. There are many options available to you when you have a rifle. Being able to harvest large game such as deer, like you can see on the video playing, moose and elk were also typically harvested. This greatly increases your odds as well as being a game changer in materials such as sinew, bone, and hide. No part of the harvested animal should ever be wasted. The godfather of bushcraft himself, Morris Kohansky's book on bushcraft, has a whole section dedicated to the utilization of moose. Large game aside, each of these options are capable of harvesting small game as well. Rodents such as the red squirrel are in abundance in Canada's boreal forest and make for a great meal. A common species in the boreal is the grouse. Regardless if they're ruffle grouse, spruce grouse, or sharptail, they are all a great source of food. You can imagine what kind of game changer firearms are. I hope you don't think that it's a cheat that I included that in this video, but I just strongly believe in today's day and age, everybody has one in their bug-out bag in their bushcraft kit. I know I always carry one, so I decided to include it in the video. I think it's a very important part of bushcraft. Bushcraft has always included hunting, and in my opinion, it always will. So now, just because we have firearms doesn't mean that that should be our only source of trying to procure some protein while we're out in the woods. Keep in mind this is prolonged survival. You want to use traps that work when you don't have to. Traps are a very viable option of catching yourself some protein. Even a simple squirrel snare like the one you can see pictured here are very effective. Set up in the right location, this will yield you some supper. Most traps, such as the figure 4 deadfall and the spring snare trap, are simple and easy traps to construct but often yield results. Not everything has to be elaborate when you talk about getting yourself some food. Aside from hunting and trapping, we cannot underestimate the importance of fishing. A little hobo reel is easy to make and will often yield you results. There is also a lot of edible fungus that is available to you out in the woods. I have a plethora of pictures of them, though I'm not going to go into them because I firmly believe in the importance of having somebody who specializes in the identification of fungus take you and show you what to look for and get a positive identification on the fungus itself. Mushroom identification can be very tricky and can yield to some very dangerous results if not done properly. Let's move along now into some wild edibles. Every part of the common dandelion is edible, from the leaves, the stalk, the head, right down to the roots. It wasn't long ago that people planted dandelions instead of lawn, as they were very versatile and edible, packed full of nutrients, and were a lot more useful than just having a beautiful yard. This is again a very easy to identify plant. You can tell by the bright yellow flowers, the leaves, how they got this serrated kind of cutting edge. Very easily identifiable and an excellent source for beginner bushcrafters. In this summertime, all the spruce trees have these beautiful little new growth.
And those tips are very soft, very edible, very citrusy. Again, extremely easy to identify. Very good, very citrusy, packed full of vitamins. It can be used for a lot of things. And really is a flavor explosion. If nothing else, you could use it with a garnish for other things. Along most trails and routes that have disturbed soil, you can find plantain. Again, plantain is edible, easy to identify. You can tell this is a young one because it is just beginning spring here by the long veins that run from the stalk right to the tip of the leaf. Very easy to identify. Again, very nutritious. An excellent one for beginner bushcrafters. Should also be noted the medicinal properties of plantain. There's nothing better, in my opinion, if you get burns. You chew that up in your mouth like a poultice and put it on the burn, and it'll instantly ease the pain. If you leave it on there, if you can tether it somehow with a form of bandage or bandana or scarf, something like that, you leave it on there for 24 to 48 hours, it will alleviate the burn completely. One of my favorite, if not the most favorite plant that we have here in the Boreal. I absolutely love it. Should you get really desperate in the Boreal, and even in the winter in the Boreal, there is a layer between the outer rough bark and the inner smooth wood of the tree that's called cambium. I'm not going to strip any of the tree to show it to you, as it does hurt the tree to remove it. But again, if you're in a survival situation, if you peel that layer between the outer bark and the inner tree and get the cambium, that can be eaten as is or cooked slightly or boiled, but it is edible and will help get you through. One of my favorite types of teas when I'm out in the Boreal is the Labrador tea. Easily identifiable again. It's got these long leaves, 2 to 5 centimeters. Underneath it's got like a brown fuzz on the leaf. Again, easily identifiable. Very, very good tea and very aromatic. One of my suggestions.
This certainly isn't the only wild edibles that are available out there. However, this is my suggestions for starting out as a first-time bushcrafter. The things you'll want to look for that are easily identifiable, and it's very hard for you to go wrong. Carrying on with our shelter, a simple thing that is easy to add to a wiki up is a drying rack. This is key because food preservation is huge when you're talking about prolonged survival. If you happen to get yourself some big game, you need a way to save it and to make sure that it doesn't spoil or go bad. Smoking is an excellent method to do this. It's simple to do if you have a teepee style shelter and a fire inside. All the smoke naturally wants to go up. You put your drying rack up close to the top of the peak, and it'll smoke and dry your food as you're keeping warm by the fire. Never to be forgotten, let's take a look at a few different ways to procure some water. If you happen to have something as simple as a plastic bag with you, it's an easy way to procure yourself some water. Just take your bag, grab some of the tree here, put it into the bag, seal around the end, and the condensation will form inside and a little bit of water will pool. You want to have your bag so the corner's down low and it'll pool your water there. Excellent way if you have no other means of getting something to drink.
A rain catch is simple to make, takes no time at all, and most of us have a 45-gallon drum liner or equivalent such as a garbage bag in our bug out bags or our bushcraft kits. This can easily be tied up and used to collect you water from the rain. Of course, nothing is better for water than water itself. If you're setting up a survival shelter, try to ensure that you have it close to a water source. This will easily be boiled down to good drinkable water.
Alright guys, that's it. That's the first episode of Season 2, Prolonged Survival. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make sure you head on over to 618 Bushcraft and join Sean over there for Part 2 of Season 2. He'll be releasing the next video. We have 7 channels, like I mentioned earlier, that are involved with this, and they're all great channels, and you're going to get a unique perspective to survival from every single one of them. We have Happy Mountain Trekkers, Grim Adventures of Bushcraft and Hiking, Harris Outdoors, Northeast Outdoors, and Canoe Hound. All of these guys will bring a unique, different perspective to every single bit of their videos. They're all drastically different in the style of videos that they shoot. You can look for something exciting from every single one of them. Make sure you follow along and go from video to video. Check out each of these channels. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Thank you guys for following us along, and for everybody that come over from Season 1, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and stay outdoors.